Look at us now, tip to tip.
Ooh, Jesus.
Shout out to Morning Kombat.
Do you want a margarita? Yes! My God!
To us, doing what we love. But it's time to bang. Oh, yeah. Better late than never. Technical issues behind us. Hey, it's your Friday Morning Kombat here, August 22nd. Of the 25s, it's still the best damn combat sports show available to you at this exact moment. I'm Brian Campbell, live and direct from the Connecticut suburbs. And next to me is a man with new frames. His name is Luke Thomas. He's of DC fame. Luke, congratulations on the upgrade to your look, upgrade being a favorable word. How are you?
I'm okay. Nice to see you. Sorry we got started late. It is not my fault.
You were not shitting red on the train.
No, I was not shitting blood on the train. I was just waiting for the people around us to get the show started. They're doing their best, but sometimes things happen,
All right. We still have a, action-packed show for you today, looking back on last night's PFL action, looking ahead to Saturday's UFC Shanghai card, and reacting to some big-time fight announcements for better or for worse. That will be up to you. Also, you can like and subscribe to this show on YouTube. Welcome to everybody on the DraftKings Network, or if you are listening only, we still care about you. You can follow us here. Also follow our extended YouTube channels. Luke Thomas is getting political and it's heating up, so tune into that as well. And let's introduce the third member of our team. He's a producer, director, and bong enthusiast. We don't always have to tell his origin story, but just understand how much that horn dude loved American women. Hey, it's Long Island Luke Nocita of the Main Card Minute. Hey, buddy, how are you?
What's up, guys? Good to be here. Sorry that we're late. New episode of Prop Quiz dropping after this episode at 1:30 p.m. So I hope everyone tunes in for that. Exciting matchup there. Yeah.
A little tease on who's going to be there or no?
Yeah, they gave it away yesterday. It's going to be Jed Mishu versus Mike Heck. So a little MMA fighting on MMA fighting action. So it's a
lawyer against another guy. That's going to be wild stuff right there. Welcome. Check it out for real though. Also, you can, as you see me wearing this hat and this old school shirt, why don't you go to morningkombat.shop right now? And I think if you haven't been here yet, you're going to be surprised. Okay. Cain Velasquez would kick your ass. No, what I'm trying to say ultimately here is we've got different color combinations. We've got evergreen items, but we of course have our August exclusives, the Super Wash Dads poster signed by BC and LT. I believe there is one left. You want to get it now. Also limited edition, Morning Kombat Beavis and Butthead, brought to you by Average Joe Art. Luke Thomas's vaping is for closers. Soon to come, Forma Energy is for losers, with Luke's face on it as well. Okay, so we'll see more about that. Morningkombat.shop. Wear your favorite show on your body so people know from a distance not to go near you. It's a great idea right there. Luke, what is new for this brief moment we have before we kick off this show? Anything you want to tell the people about your life? Recent medical diagnoses? Anything?
No, I would like to get the show started because we got started so late.
There we go. So just like that, we're going to turn the page, Bob Seger style, to topic number one. First and foremost, though, this episode of Morning Kombat is brought to you by DraftKings, where, of course, DraftKings, the crown is yours. Topic number one goes UFC Shanghai Preview, as Saturday gives us an early start time to a fight night card from the other side of the world. With light heavyweights in the main event, we'll get to Brian Ortega's weight miss in a second. But Luke, Saturday's fight marks the promotion's first visit to China, mainland China, since before the pandemic, and the first visit to Shanghai since Kelvin Gastelum retired Michael Bisping by knockout in 2017. Much of the main card appears to be built around Chinese light heavyweight slugger Zhang Mingyang, who is getting this major opportunity in the main event against veteran Johnny Walker on a 3-fight win streak as Zhang since joining the UFC just 18 months ago, all 3 by stoppage. Luke, what does this booking say about Zhang's potential future and the 205 division for UFC?
Isn't it a 4-fight win streak? Tokos, Ribeiro, Diaz, Smith?
one was on Road to the UFC. Is that an official UFC?
I don't know how they count that. You're right. I don't know how they count that. It's a fair point. Either way, he's doing quite well. It's kind of funny on the tape study. It's like he is obviously good, BC. I mean, he's got some pretty savage ground and pound, which you saw with those elbows that he used to stop Anthony Smith. But his game is a little nondescript. It's not like it's got a incredibly unique style. He's got a little bit of boxing, a little bit of wrestling, some decent ground and pound. He's a come forward fighter for sure. He puts a lot of pressure on you. Does have some jab to work with. He is decently sized for the most part for light heavyweight. However, in this matchup, he's pretty undersized. If you actually look at the reach disadvantage, BC, 75 inches to 82, that's a pretty significant difference. There's a question about whether Johnny Walker will actually jab or use range effectively, but also 6'6" versus 6'2", so he's longer than you have to punch up. It's a little bit higher. So I wonder how the size differential is going to matter here. But what's his nickname? The Mountain Tiger?
Yes.
He puts enough offensive pressure and has enough core competencies in this game and has enough size and power to make, I think, any light heavyweight fighter, for the most part, have to earn it a little bit. And with Johnny Walker's defensive lapses, this could be the continuation of a win streak.
In some ways, I agree with you right here. Zhang getting a big opportunity to make a big name for himself as potentially the next big thing for Chinese MMA. We know UFC has the Performance Institute there. An interesting stat, Luke, regarding Zhang Mingyang, 19-6 overall as a professional, but 18 of his last 19 fights dating back to 2017 have not made it out of the first round.
Yes.
3 of those are stoppage losses, but on the regional level in China. But he has finished by TKO or sub every single opponent in like a 15-fight consecutive stretch. There's something to be said there, right? About the opportunity of not only going 5 rounds in the main event, but like seriously being pushed by a wild man like Johnny Walker.
Yes, and by the way, I didn't realize this, but all 3 of his UFC fights, because it doesn't count, obviously, for the road to UFC, but the Ribeiro, Diaz, and now Smith wins, they all came with Performance of the Night bonuses. Now, what I would say, though, is in the case certainly of Diaz and Smith, I think you're dealing with opponents who, in Smith's case, was very good at one point, but this was the end, essentially. And then in Diaz's case, is barely hanging on to UFC level, and I'm not even sure if he still is. It's really not, the point I'm trying to make is he's definitely blown the doors off of some people who were either not that good or very vulnerable. And obviously, I'm not saying he doesn't have power otherwise, but this will be something of a more interesting test. Again, not because Johnny Walker doesn't have a questionable chin. He does, which is part of what makes it interesting. But the range and to what extent he can navigate that over the course of, a main event. We'll see.
Yeah, no doubt about that. As we look at the odds brought to you by DraftKings right now, Johnny Walker, your plus 280 underdog against the minus 355 Zhang Mingyang. I can't stress enough that stretch that he's on of not getting out of the first round. He's exciting. He brings it. But Luke, at 33 years old, we're seeing a Johnny Walker who, it seems like it's been a long time since he was maybe one win away from fighting John Jones for the light heavyweight title when he first burst on the scene and was finishing everyone early. He is riding a 2-fight losing streak, both by early-ish stoppage, but one against current champion Magomed Ankalaev immediately after their no contest, and then the second one most recently against Volkan Ozdemir. I understand Walker being the betting underdog considering the hot streak of Zhang. He'll be in his home country, of course. But what do you make about the current stock of this wild man, Johnny Walker, whose seed is deeply spread across the Scottish Highlands, but this is new territory in China for him? Is he, do you give him the veteran advantage, or is he such a wild card that you never know what you're going to get with him?
Man, he's way too much of a wild card for a couple of reasons. I mean, again, the dimensions of the fight, his height and his reach, there are times I've seen him reasonably effectively use it. At times, I mean, the problem is he's very inconsistent with it, but at times he could make that happen. So you have to at least take that seriously. On the other hand, look at his last 4 losses, all right, not even counting the Magomed Ankalaev illegal knee, the losses themselves. Can KO to Uzdemir, KO to Ankalaev, KO to Jamal Hill, then Thiago Santos. This was 2021. He went the distance in October. We're almost 4 years past that point with all that additional damage. Like, he's chinny. He's chinny. There's just no two ways about it. He's chinny. And so for those reasons, it makes him, there's a degree of unreliability. More to the point, remember, he went and spent some time, many years, as a matter of fact, over at SBG in Ireland. And now he has moved to the United States to work with Eric Nixick over at the Extreme Couture gym. But this is a tough thing. It's like he didn't really complain, obviously, about being at SBG, but he kind of indicated there weren't a lot of sparring partners his size, which is part of the reason why he came to the States. There's a question about like what they did to his game by making him play like a touch and go game, when he went to SBG, and like how that changed who he was. So like there's existential questions here as well. Can you make a big switch this late in your career and have, a meaningful improvement? What about all the changes you made to the kind of game you were playing? What about all the damage that you've taken? Like, how can anyone look at any of these factors and not at least have some kind of question about it?
No, well, very well said. Let's look at the face-off between the two of them. Earlier this week in Shanghai, you can see the beautiful skyline behind them. You can see Johnny Walker's traditional local dress.
Boy, I got to say, he doesn't look 6'6" versus 6'2".
No,
a little bit.
Brian Bosworth style lines in the side of Zhang's hair. Look, that looked a little like...
Why was he dressed like Bruce Lee?
He's just, culturally appropriating himself into the culture.
I was about to say, I was like, okay, all right.
Let's bring in our betting expert, Long Island Luke, here of the Main Card Minute. You saw the wide odds in favor of Zhang Mingyang. He hadn't beaten anybody with a Wikipedia page of late until Anthony Smith, though, last time. How much do you fear from a betting standpoint the fact that this guy has become a one-round wonder?
I mean, I'm taking him in a parlay, so I'm riding with him. You guys didn't mention he only has three UFC fights officially, so he hasn't reached the minimum 5, but he lands 10 strikes per minute, which is crazy.
I did see that. Yeah, but he also, remember, like, part of that is he was just bombing on Anthony Smith, and some of the ground and pound finishes, remember, they go largely uncontested.
True.
So it's not like he's just raining fire at all times. He's active, to your point. He is active and he lands, but I think that's a touch misleading.
Yeah, I mean, there's value on Johnny Walker here. I'm not riding with him, but if anyone wants to take him, he did lose to the champion twice. One was a no contest. The other one came to Volkan Ozdemir, former title challenger. These aren't bad losses. Mingyang Zhang, maybe Anthony Smith was ranked when they fought. Either way, Anthony Smith isn't ranked now, so technically hasn't fought anyone in the top 15. I could see an argument for Johnny Walker winning this, especially at plus money, but I'm riding with Mingyang.
Yeah, it seems like a long-ass time ago that Johnny Walker was out here sending Khalil Roundtree to hell and was on that win streak pre-pandemic where he had made that run. I haven't seen enough growth, obviously, in the SPG era for him. We had that nice submission win where it looked like his ground game was coming together as Zoe the Cat, the OG, has arrived here. But, Luke,
Let's see your cat's butthole.
I really question Johnny Walker's chin on the road against a first-round slugger. I think you got to go full chalk here. Give Zhang Mingyang an opportunity to continue to extend himself. Already this week in interviews, Zhang ultimately said if he gets a victory here, the escalation he wants is Yuri Prochazka next. What do you think about that for him? I know I can't ask you if he's ready for that until he gets through Johnny Walker, but really what I'm trying to ask you is, do you think UFC could rocket pack this guy to the top, given that this division is fairly shallow?
I cannot believe your cat's sitting there on screen. How mad would you be if I drove up to your house and just like euthanized all your pets?
Oh my God. I can't believe you said that out loud, but keep going, please.
You're asking about the upside of a guy whose best win is an Anthony Smith who's on his way out the door. It's impossible to say. By the way, kind of funny how, like, who did the Long Island Luke, who from the media at a post-fight presser recently asked, it was either Dana or the Canadian version of Dana, like, are you going to matchmake in such a way to appeal to the home market? And they said no. Do you remember that?
I don't remember that, to be honest.
You remember that, right? That happened
David
recently.
Shaw. Yeah.
Right. And here they are with a Chinese guy in the main event in China, which, by the way, like, is great. No problem with it. Zero. It's totally cool. I like the fight. It's fine. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. And of course, the co-main event is essentially 2 Americans. I'm just pointing out, like, they will sometimes absolutely do something like this where they matchmake for the home crowd. It's weird to be in a little bit of denial about it. I mean, UFC Noche is kind of that, like, as a whole brand. All right. But you're asking about the upside of Mountain Tiger here. Dude, we have no way of knowing. Blowing people out of the door in the first round in consecutive fights is just not something even the highest level of fighter can sustain once the competition improves. You see what I mean? So Johnny Walker is flawed. The odds makers think that he's going to lose, and I totally understand that, and I think I largely agree. But, dude, he's unproven against someone this good. We have to see it first.
I mean, this isn't me predicting Ngannou will wrestle Gane, but Walker could be advised to try to extend this fight, to try to find out what we have in this guy, to maybe shoot a little bit. I'm not sure he's even has that in his mindset, as it seems like he wants to hang and bang, particularly at the same time. But if you look at the rankings coming in, Johnny Walker currently number 13 at 205 pounds in the UFC. Zhang Mingyang number 14. And we mentioned Zhang is ready to call out number 2, Yuri Prochazka. So, Luke, he's looking to make a massive leap should he get the win. The big question is here for you. Will he get the win? I'm going first round knockout for Zhang, not Wei Li, brother. I'm talking about Mingyang. Where are you at?
Yeah, give me the same thing. Give me Mountain Tiger. I'm going to call him that because I can say that. You know what? I'm going to shake it up. Give you second round TKO.
All right, there you go.
Second round TKO.
There you go with that.
Yeah.
Let's get into the co-main event, which could very well be the main event, at least on paper. And we certainly have, videos to show for that and a lot to talk about as Zoe breaks everything. But the point I'm trying to make here is shit heated up earlier this morning as Brian Ortega badly missed weight. There seemed to be a report initially now that I think has been ruled false that shout out to Brian Daly, by the way, that Brian Ortega collapsed backstage and that the fight was called off. That no longer seems to be true. But while we don't have the video at the moment, a lot of people did see the face-off between them where Brian Ortega looked shaky walking up there. And Luke, now for this featherweight matchup, we're going to get a 153-pound catch weight just to keep the train on the tracks. What the heck do you make of this for a guy like Ortega, who's so inconsistent in the cage and really on the scale, to be fair?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, this was a tough fight for him anyway, dude. Aljamain Sterling proved against Movsar. Yeah, he lost, but he was still a very worthy adversary. And I think all of us recognize that. And then to see the dude, I mean, even like, I don't know what the truth is about Ortega, but anybody do we have pictures of this Long Island, Luke? Do we have the photo of him?
No.
Oh man, we should have put that on the show because he looks terrible. He looks terrible. We were talking about this before the show. At 153, dude, Aljo's got to be close to his walking around weight. That's kind of nuts that he's going to compete that high. As a gift to Ortega, who at this point, has some real questions to ask about his future. I mean, I think some of us thought like, Sterling can pull this off. Definitely. Now I'm like confident he will pull this off. Ortega looked to be in terrible shape. And if he gets pushed in this one, I just don't. Aljo's going to have the gas tank. You know it. And if I was him, I would go after Ortega and make him work.
Well, it seems since the weight mishap, the odds have shifted a little bit with Brian Ortega now more than a 3-1 underdog to the minus. Long Island, do you have updated odds here? Is it like minus 400 now for Sterling? So
Jesus,
it's certainly moved in that direction. Long Island, look, am I wrong here on draft?
Yeah, minus 380 for Aljo, plus 300 for Ortega.
Okay,
damn.
so that has shifted from where it was, let's say yesterday, which was plus 295 for Ortega and minus 375. So now we're a 5-round catchweight bout of 153 pounds. Can we first jump to the sound of Aljo talking with MMA Fighting's Mike Heck? This was earlier this week where he just doesn't understand why this co-main event is a 5-round fight.
I wanted to ask you because there seems to be some confusion in the Twitterverse in regards to this fight. This is a 5-round co-main event, correct?
Yeah, I don't know why it's 5 rounds. I don't know if Brian Ortega is the one who asked for 5 rounds, but like 5-round main events, if you're not the champion, you get an extra pay incentive. So I'm kind of annoyed because we're not getting extra pay for 5 rounds. I'm like, did he want to fight 5 rounds for no extra money? Like I think it's kind of fucking stupid. Like, what are we getting out of this? We're not getting a trophy at the end of this. So why are we fighting 5 rounds? This is 10 extra minutes of training, 10 extra minutes of fighting. I don't know if I legitimately do not know. We got the same manager. So I don't want 5 rounds. 5 rounds, like Who wants to do 5 rounds? Who wants to fight more for the same pay rate that they're gonna get? It doesn't make any sense.
Why did
Unless
you find?
there's-
Why did you find out it was 5?
In the beginning of the contract, and I was just like, for what? I thought potentially we might be moved to the main event, and then that hasn't happened. So here we are. I'm like, well, hey, Mr. Manager, can we get a little extra money for this? I'm like, I've been asking for weeks. I'm like, because this is, I mean, the fight's going to happen regardless, right? But it just would be nice to be compensated to do the extra. This is outside of the ordinary scope. So it's like, well, no co-main event is 5 rounds unless they're getting paid. You know, so I don't know. It's a little weird. I am a little annoyed by that. I know some people are going to take that headline and clip it, and I was just frustrated with the UFC. It's not even that. Make it make sense. I train hard, you know. I got a big wedding coming up. Hunter knows about it. So, dude, a little extra bonus would be nice. It would be nice for both of us, both of our families.
Luke, even as a quasi TKO employee myself now, I can say that don't seem right. But if you apply the bad weight miss for Ortega and how bad he looked even in that face-off this morning for this fight, is 5 rounds even a good idea right now?
I mean, I didn't hear anything in there that didn't make sense. You know, everything there made a lot of sense. That was a very rational, level-headed take. I'm just not sure what to tell these guys anymore. You know, I'm not sure what could be told to them anymore is actually the other part. I don't even know what is really reasonably possible.
Who's the manager in question there?
I don't even keep up with
Tiki?
that anymore. Is it Tiki?
Something? Yeah.
I mean, you know, I don't know to what extent Tiki is currently a friend of Dana White, but I know that historically they were. And obviously he used to work for him as a fighter himself. Like, you'd have to question the level of not, you know, professional commitment per se, but, you know, what kind of approach to managing someone in that kind of position is going to take, you know. Anyway, different. I mean, we've been over this shit a million times. Like, this is what the industry is. This is who the fighters pick. This is what happens, right?
Yeah.
But to your point about, you know, should this even happen? I mean, if I was, I don't. You would want to make it 5 rounds. Why? Because you would imagine that the winner is potentially auditioning for a title shot. Potentially. Because neither is really in that space, you wouldn't do it. But if someone looked good in a 5-round scenario, with the way that things are a little bit in flux at 145. I mean, I know Lerone Murphy just bumped to the front of the line, BC, but, you know, they were talking about giving Yair one off of 1 win. I think they're looking to kind of reshuffle things a little bit. They want to see these guys audition for some bigger opportunities and to see what they can do at 5 rounds. So I kind of get the logic, but at this point, I don't know what the goal would be. I mean, dude, but seriously, realistically, how is Ortega going to look past the 3rd round? Even if the fight goes that long, he's going to fall off a cliff after there anyway. I just feel like it won't. We're not even going to see 5 rounds in all likelihood anyway. So I mean, it's sort of like a moot point.
It's a weird situation here. Also, Aljo accepting the fight with that huge weight miss. I get it. Same manager. I know he just wants to get a win and move on. Brian Ortega has lost specifically 3 of 4, actually 5 of 7 overall. He's 34 years old right now, yet for some reason, despite that stretch, even though the losses have come against very elite competition, including the near title submission win against Alexander Volkanovski, when you look at the featherweight rankings right now, Ortega's still number 5 with Aljo at number 7. So, Luke, do you feel like really it's Aljo who has stakes and an opportunity here? I wonder if that little soundbite keeps him away from getting it, but let's say Aljo as the favorite now with this weight miss situation and the daunting 5 rounds. If he gets a win, do you see him making the leap? I mean, he does have close losses recently, including against Movsar Evloev. Is this a big opportunity for him or not in your eyes?
Well, see, this is the weird part, because here's the thing. If Ortega looks good for a bit and then fades in the end, the win for Aljo might carry some real value. But if Ortega looks terrible from the beginning, people are going to deny the legitimacy of the win, and not without good reason, right? They might say, listen, okay, Ortega is a name and we know he has some skills, but look at the state this guy was in. What is that win supposed to signify, right? In a scenario like that, I don't know how much there is to gain. So it actually is to Aljo's benefit if Ortega shows some signs of life in this and some competitive pushback, and then, somehow Aljamain's able to look better in the end, that would be useful to him. But dude, there's a real world where he traveled all the way to Shanghai, China to beat up an underprepared, let's just say, is incapable opponent who fell apart on the scales and then ultimately on fight night. Like, what does that really earn you? I don't know. But to Aljo's point, remember, he's also flying to China to go to be in a co-main event. He's not fighting on a big pay-per-view. Like, I don't know to what extent the UFC will value that long-term, but I understand from Aljo's point, I'm fighting in a 5-round co-main event for no extra money on the other side of the world. I think he's hoping that with a big win, that might come full circle and be rewarded. There's a question about to what extent that's how the business works, but I at least can understand the thinking on all of this. It just, in the end, he might not get it. It's possible, even with a win, he might not get much out of it.
So Aljo's 36 years old, but he does seem a lot fresher than Ortega at the moment. Technically, he's lost 2 of 3, but one was the KO loss for the bantamweight title against O'Malley, in which he rushed back from injury to take that fight. He's 1-1 technically at 145 with the decision win over Calvin Kattar, and then the very close decision loss to Evloev. Luke, is there still an argument to be made that Aljo very much could have got his hand raised in that fight?
No, I didn't think that he won it, but I thought he was very, very competitive and good and did not look in any way bad in that fight. It just looked like Evloev's top control and top presence was very good. I mean, we're talking about a former bantamweight champion going up to 45. That's a tough thing again. And dude, Evloev might be a future champ too. I mean, think about that. That's not a thing that we can write off. So no, he didn't win it, but we won, key parts of it and certainly performed quite ably.
Interesting stuff. Luke, the best we can do to sort of try to guess what this fight looks like. The advantages are seemingly shifting toward Aljo, although you do never know, I guess, on a bad weight miss for the fight allowed to be fought at the higher weight. In theory, is this going to, give any help to Ortega? I don't know. Ortega's so wild. He'll either fight with no defense and his hands down, or he'll be getting beat up and then be on the verge of saving the fight with a dramatic submission attempt. How do you see this fight ultimately playing out? And do you think Aljo is looking at it as, let me just keep this safe, survive in advance, get a big win over the number 5 guy and keep moving?
Well, I don't know. That's a good question. Like, to what extent, what are his offensive priorities in this fight? That's actually an interesting question. I don't know. We're going to have to see, especially if he gets, I think he's going to wait and see what kind of Ortega he gets on fight night. So that is a big part of that. But I honestly feel like this is tailor-made strong is overstating it. To me, this is Aljo's fight to lose. I think early on, he can stick and move. Ortega's defense has never been great. His slipping has never been great. His slipping and countering usually takes a little while to get going. He's usually hittable early. And you got Aljo, who's got pretty good footwork, good jab, good movement. Like, he's going to be tough to deal with early. And then the interesting thing about Aljo is just he does have wrestling, but he's a very good back attacker. Now, I don't think he's going to try and play the grappling game too early with Ortega, but if Ortega begins to visibly slow, you've got a guy in Aljo very good at creating back exposure, very good at holding and maintaining position, obviously always a submission threat if he needs to be. Got that Suloev stretch when they try to shake him off. Like, he's skilled. So I think I'm looking at some combination of jabbing and circling on the feet and then creating back exposure, and then we'll see what happens from there.
Yeah, it's tough. Aljo never submitted in his career, which is the strength of Ortega's game. I'm not sure Ortega's caveman boxing at this point in his career is going to have a lot of success against Aljo, who's very long, very awkward, still very quick and athletic. It really leads me to believe we're heading towards an Aljo sub, a wide decision win, or what have you. Long Island Luke, can you add anything from a betting angle? Is there any value here on Ortega?
I would have thought maybe before the weight miss there would have been value on him. I feel like the weight miss just makes this like, oh God, he didn't look great. Aljo lands more strikes per minute. Ortega gets hit 3 times as often as Aljo. Ortega only 1 win in the last 5 years. Aljo only lost to the number 1 contender at featherweight. It feels like this should be an Aljo win.
All right, let's say we get the Aljo win. There has been sound this week of Aljo saying, I would love to get that second chance at Sean O'Malley, who had back-to-back losses to the new champion in Merab Dvalishvili. Luke, is that the right matchmaking to make if Aljo gets his hand raised in your eyes?
Against who?
Sean O'Malley in
Sean
a
O'Malley.
rematch.
Are we out of ideas? Is that what the
No,
problem is?
I got plenty of ideas. I mean, you can look at that top five right now. You got obviously the champion is Volk. You've got Movsar at number 1, Diego Lopez at 2, Yair Rodriguez at 3, Lerone Murphy at number 4, probably getting the next title shot, and then you have Ortega, Arnold Allen, and Sterling.
I mean, let's create. I mean, the whole point of going to 45 is to create some fresh matchups. Let's do that.
Let's go Yair, maybe. Well, he's got Diego, right? Or does he not?
No, Diego
John
is
Silva.
fighting is Jayon Silva.
That's right. And that could be a big stake fight for both guys. All right. So we'll see if featherweight is trying to regrow itself. We'll see what happens with this fight. Let's move on to the heavyweight division. Sergey Pavlovich will come in here as a favorite, despite the fact that he has recently turned away a 2-fight losing skid, got a win over Jair Rosenstrike, who's now out of the organization. But he kind of welcomes someone you can say is under the radar at heavyweight on a 5-fight win streak, Waldo Cortez Acosta. And as we look at the odds for this 3-round fight brought to you by DraftKings, Pavlovich at -265, Cortez Acosta with that strong ground game, plus 215 as the underdog. Luke, Cortez Acosta is ranked number 6. I mentioned that 5-fight win streak. Not all of those fights have been, dominations. There's been some close calls in there. How live of a dog is he, though, against somebody like Pavlovich, who's looking to regain his spot in the rankings?
This is an interesting one because Pavlovich has fallen apart, I think. You mentioned the Rosenstrike win. He didn't win that fight. At least he shouldn't have won that fight. That was a bit of a robbery is a strong word, but let's just say the judging in that one was suspect and certainly up for debate. He just didn't look good. And, of course, the 2 fights before that, he loses to Aspinall in the first round and loses to Volkov in a fight where he kind of got beaten up in that one. The Aspinall one wasn't very long, but the Volkov one, he kind of got beaten up over the duration of that bout. And then Rosenstrike, he just barely eked it out. Like, he's not looked great at all. He's got some physical advantages here. I think he's got a longer reach by, I think, about 6 inches. Let me see. What is it? It is closer to, exactly, 78 to 84. So he's got some advantages here, but Waldo Cortez Acosta, quicker. He doesn't look like he's particularly athletic, but I think he's got faster feet. Pavlovich has pretty terrible defense. He does have a sturdy chin by and large, and so he could take some abuse, and he will pump forward. He'll pressure, and Cortez Acosta at times will kind of relent to that. So there are ways in which this could be interesting and competitive, but honestly, I think, if you just look at what they performed at more recently, Cortez Acosta has won against better guys in more complete ways, looked good down the stretch when he needed to in that Spivak fight. He's a little bit outsized, not in total weight, but again, I think in like useful bulk, he's a little bit outsized. But he might this might be just the right time, BC, for him to fight Sergey Pavlovich on this kind of situation. There's good reasons to like what he can do here.
Yeah, and I just want to circle back to that win that snapped the losing streak for Sergey against Jairzinho, excuse me. Luke, I don't remember it being a decision that was disputed. I just remember it being a shitty sleep-inducing fight in which Pavlovich won the first 2 rounds, scored a knockdown. Am I wrong here? Are you thinking?
Yeah, no. I believe he. Correct me if I'm wrong, Luke. He laid on top of him.
He wrestled.
Yeah.
I think he got his first takedown,
and he didn't do shit on the ground and pound. Now again, Biggie Boy looked terrible underneath as well, and I think this was shortly after this he gets released. But he just completely laid on him and did nothing for basically an entire round.
And don't forget that him and Volkov used to train together. And at the end of that fight, I remember Pavlovich pushed Volkov and was like, F you. I don't know what the deal was between them, but Pavlovich holds that number 3 ranking. Why? Because this is as shallow as this division gets. I don't know. If with a win here, if Waldo wins 6 in a row and beats a name like this, you're going to start taking it more seriously. But when you're looking at the title picture, I don't know, Luke. Have you? I think Waldo's underrated for this division, but I can't see him being a title threat
until he KOs Pavlovich, right? If he smokes Pavlovich, then you're kind of like, well, I mean, how far away are we at that point? You know, Aspinall wants to stay busy, apparently. Aspinall needs contenders, definitely. I mean, if Cortez Acosta goes in there and smokes him, dude, like, I'm not saying he gets the next title shot, but he can't be that far at that point, can he? What am I missing?
He's number 6. You're not going to be that
exactly,
far.
dude. You're right there at that point.
I mean, that's really the problem that we have right now with the champion Aspinall, Cyril Gahn ranked number 1, Volkov 2, then Pavlovich, Blades, Almeida, and then Waldo. And if you want me to keep going, you're going to get a lot of Ty Burras and Spivaks and Tuivasas and Derek Lewis's. I mean, damn, what a time for the UFC heavyweight division to lose John Jones and everyone else. Long Island, what do we got here? I mean, I could see Waldo pulling this off for everything Luke said. That's a nice little plus money opportunity. Are you willing to go after it?
I'm not willing to go after it. I am willing to go after the over 1.5. I did take it in a parlay. Pavlovich has hit it in 2 straight. Waldo Cortez Acosta, like, always hits it. 7 of his 8 UFC fights. So I do think he'll push the pace, make it go a little longer. I do like Pavlovich in this fight. So I won't be taking Cortez Acosta plus money, but Cortez Acosta plus 3.5 spread on DraftKings is plus money right now. He just has to win 1 round on one judge's scorecard. The worry there would be Pavlovich could knock him out. Pavlovich, 15 of his 19 wins have come by knockout. Cortez Acosta, though, never been knocked out before. So that's the caveat there. I will say, though, they're giving you Pavlovich by KO at plus money, which is crazy. I never thought I'd see the day that you get him at plus money, but, over 1.5 is my official pick.
All right. Well, officially, Waldo is 14-1 as a professional. The only loss, a decision against Marcos Rogerio de Lima back in 2023 in a battle of overweight heavyweights. Not as overweight, by the way, is that PFL Romanov fight that we'll get to shortly. Luke, I don't have the same confidence in Pavlovich. I don't feel like you do either.
Not right now. Not right now. I need to see some signs of life from him, man. He has been hanging on by a thread here. Yeah, let's see what he can do first.
All right, tell me what else you care about for this Shanghai undercard, and do we have a start time? I'm sure 3 a.m. with Long Island Luke, right?
Yeah, 6 a.m. Maine. 6 a.m. Maine, I believe.
Damn, that's early.
Kind of interesting on short notice. Kyle Dawkins is back in the promotion after doing pretty well on the regional scene. He's going to face Michel Pereira, whose UFC career is hanging on by a thread. That is an absolute no doubt about it. People are a little bit upset about Charles Johnson and then Loner Kavanaugh not being on the main card. Your mileage may vary. And then, yeah, that's about it.
That was like an 8 or 9 fight win streak that Michel Pereira had until those back-to-back losses, the stoppage against Fluffy Hernandez in round 5, and then that decision loss to not a plane or a train, Luke. We're talking about a Boos Mago Medov right there. That's an interesting fight of sorts, I guess.
A bus.
I mean, we're going to get Michel Pereira and Johnny Walker on the same card. Maybe they'll both backflip their way into the cage. I don't know, dude. A lot of locals. I'm looking up and down this undercard, maybe outside of the pretty good face-off we saw at flyweight between Charles Johnson and Kavanaugh. I don't know if I'm seeing a ton of appointment viewing here. Long Island Luke, can you change my opinion at all?
I don't know if I could change it. Luke kind of mentioned the only really good prelims. Rong Zhu is taking on Austin Hubbard. That's another somewhat fun matchup.
That should be fun.
I feel like, though, this is going to be one of those cards where you don't think it's going to be anything on paper, and it's just a bunch of bangers. That's at least what I'm hoping for, waking up at 3 a.m. So join me, guys. Main card minute. Let's go.
Okay, well, let's stay there for a second. What's that conversation like between you and your significant other?
That I'm off on Saturday night. And we got all day Saturday, baby.
She goes, I'm leaving.
No, I got all day Saturday. We could hang out tonight. I might go to bed a little early, get an hour or 2 of sleep, and then be right back.
All right. Save tonight. Fight the break of dawn. Eagle Eye Cherry style. Luke, if you have anything else to say about Shanghai, say it now.
Seems like it's a wonderful city.
All right, there we go. That's topic number 1. Let's go to topic number 2. UFC Vancouver is on the horizon, and a big announcement this week from Dana White, not just to round out the full card of what appears to be a sexy fight night coming up on October 18th, but the bigger story is we're furthering the middleweight title discussion. Of course, less than a week after Khamzat Chimaev captured the title at UFC 319 by blanking Dricus du Plessis, we are going to get 2 of the most eligible contenders for that title to have to go through each other. RDR Renier de Ritter will take a 5-round main event against Anthony Fluffy Hernandez. Of course, we also have the September Paris main event between equally high contenders of Nasruddin Imavov against Caio Borralho. Excuse me. Luke, this is pretty exciting considering the logjam of contenders and the idea here that we have a final four, and that and with Sean Strickland also just getting a 6-month suspension for that run-in he had in the cage, we're going to give these four contenders an opportunity to outshine each other to get the next chance at, or the first chance at Chimaev. In your eyes, is that the most fair way to decide this, considering how many viable names we have at the moment?
I don't hate it at all. I mean, you know, you could just do whatever you want if you're the UFC, basically, but they're trying to figure out like which way to go because they've got a lot of good options. I mean, some options are better than others, and some you might like more than others. My hope is that, my hope is that basically either Fluffy or DeRitter get the shot ahead of Borralho or Imavov. But you know, everyone's mileage is going to vary on this one. You're going to have a different taste, but this is a great problem to have. You've got four brand new, kind of quickly, in some ways, quickly, in the case of RDR, for example, quickly ascendant contenders. You know, some are not exactly an overnight success, but sometimes it feels that way. And it's a little bit unclear about which direction to go. So screw it. Let's have them fight each other and then figure out. Now, of course, the winners of these two, semis are not going to face off each other. The winner gets, selected for the ultimate prize. So it's not really a full tournament in that sense. But in any case, I love it, BC. And I think a lot of people feel the same. It feels like it's a real clever way to set up a number one contenders fight. I mean, even then, there's still going to be a degree of interpretation on this, but how can you not love either fight? Again, I love the RDR versus Fluffy one more. To me, that's more interesting. I think the winner of that fight presents potentially more challenges for Khamzat, but truly a setup where if you're the UFC, how can you go wrong? You have so many good choices about which way this could go.
Yeah, and I do ultimately like that they're giving everyone the equal chance. Go out there, get a dominant performance, get a finish, yell into the microphone, do what we love, and we will ultimately reward you. And if you look at the odds for this October 18th main event, I'm sure Shaquille Majori will be there. Maljoudi will be in attendance and texting you for
texting me. I'm going to just be blocking him and telling him he has full-blown AIDS or something.
Oh my God. Wow. He has free healthcare though to combat that. RDR is your underdog at plus 180 according to DraftKings. Fluffy Hernandez minus 218. From what we've seen out of both recently, are those fair odds in your eyes, LT? Plus 180 minus.
That's a better question for Long Island Luke. What do you think about the odds?
I think they're fair. I think RDR could win this fight, but I would definitely favor Fluffy to win this fight. So yeah, I'll take Fluffy at minus 218, and I could be tempted to take RDR. But yeah, I think they're about right.
Yeah,
you're just hedging all over the place. This guy.
RDR just seems like he's very capable of surprises. Fluffy seems, listen to the words I'm saying, seems like more of a sure thing. But that's why they got to fight it out, because you never know.
Well, we got some fun sound from a few of the fighters involved in this sort of virtual Final Four. And the first piece of sound coming from the red hot Anthony Fluffy Hernandez, who is riding an 8-fight win streak, kind of sounded and tasted a little bit like shots fired. Of course, this Shots Fired segment brought to you by Cuervo. Now is a good time to enjoy the tequila that invented tequila, and you better believe the Cuervo tequila will be in a plenty, if that makes any sense, when we do UFC 320 pregame preview on MK coming up. When is that, Luke? Did you say that's October?
Yeah, that's October not till the first week of October. Well, I mean, I guess is it technically going to be in September, but the first UFC event is in October.
Yeah, all right. So we'll check that out. So here is Fluffy Hernandez with MMA Junkie reacting to the RDR fight and explaining why he is the man to beat Chimaev.
I thought DDP would actually have like answers and stuff, but turns out he just got away with being a fucking big strong guy for a long time, and against a high level wrestler, if trying to be strong just sets up traps. So he found that out that night, you know what I mean? So but there's levels to this shit, man. There's levels to this shit, and I think that I'm on that level. So eventually, when the fight comes, I'll be ready for it. But it's one fight at a time for me. Next in line is DeRitter, so it's to strategize against him and just fucking keep climbing the rankings.
Luke, do you believe that this man, we know he has the confidence, but would you say of the four contenders, he has the best skill set to eventually attack Chimaev, or we got to wait and see?
We have to wait and see a little bit. I think he would have a little bit more ability to stuff takedowns, a little bit more ability, less so on that, but more to force scrambles, and then the ability to reverse position, and then more importantly, over the course of the bout, make Khamzat work for it. And that's where it becomes intriguing, is when the interesting part about the DDP fight, BC, for Khamzat was that he essentially got to set the pace. What happens in a 5-round fight when he cannot? And I think Fluffy is one of the only guys who can, at least in theory, present that as a challenge.
Yeah, and look, he's obviously has to get through RDR first, but I want to see RDR, who just went 5 rounds with Robert Whitaker, getting the edge in a close fight. Will that pace that Fluffy puts out be too much for him, Luke? You know what I mean? It was way too much for Roman Dolidze.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know, but I mean, there's good reason to at least want to see that tested. If you can pass the Fluffy test, you can pass just about anything that the division can throw at you. But that to me is why it's kind of the most interesting one. But again, we'll have to see.
Well, this RDR Fluffy matchup is so good. We got sound from Caio Bohalio, who, of course, will be fighting Imavov in Paris in September, talking to our friend Dennis at Submission Radio and making his pick for who wins RDR Fluffy.
Been able to have 5 fights, basically, man. It's insane.
He's doing a good run. I respect the guy for that. He's doing a good run. He's getting there, but I don't think he wins from Hernandez, because if you see that fight, RDR has a grappling as good as Roman Dolidze, and RDR it's worse, a little bit worse than Roman Dolidze on the feet. So Hernandez is gonna go there. It's gonna be the same exactly fight as the Dolidze fight, and I think he will win this fight against RDR for sure.
I disagree on the same exact. I mean, RDR couldn't be more different than Roman and how he attacks things. And
yes, I would agree with that characterization is misleading. However, the general scope of it is more or less correct, I think.
All right, let's go back to De Ritter here, who talked with MMA Junkie, responding to tweets from Khamzat Chimaev and really detailing how he believes a fight between the two of them would go if he gets past Hernandez.
Had some developments here in the past 12 hours or so. He first sent you like the skull emoji, and then I think your wonderful fake Twitter account. Someone's doing great promotion for you here. And then Khamzat responds saying, "Show you're a white belt." Yeah. This seems like good. You're getting some momentum here.
Yeah, I think I can do well in all the positions. If I end up on bottom, if I end up on top, I believe I have a lot to show in that fight, and I think it could be like a grappling fight for the ages. Our styles match up very close, very, very cool. And I believe it could be a very awesome fight, yeah. The main thought in my mind is if he takes me down, great. If I take him down, great. If it's in the clinch, great. If it's in the stand-up, it's great. So I'm not worried about where it goes at all. I think I can hit him with some good knees. I believe I can take him down. I have some cool shit off my back as well. So, yeah, we'll see.
Luke, I have to say, no disrespect to Caio or Imavov, and Imavov probably from a resume standpoint and the names he's recently beat has the best shot on paper. I think Fluffy or RDR is the fight. And if I had to pick, man, I'd hear an RDR talk about what that back and forth ground battle could look like. I'm into it, dude. All right.
So this one is also intriguing. I generally feel, though, that like guys who are top smother, top pin guys like Khamzat, it's genuinely and generally going to be a bad matchup for, guard players. And I realize that RDR can do more than that for sure. He's got good grappling everywhere. But if he's going to be spending a lot of time in bottom pins, you would want someone who could kind of fight fire with fire, not someone who could fight fire with something different. So I won't sit here and lie and say I'm fully not intrigued. That's not true. I just don't feel like, to me, that's the best kind of matchup. But again, let's see. Every time RDR goes out there, he shows you a little something different, a little something fun. He's full of surprises. if he's the right guy to do it, then let's see what that looks like.
Man, I hope they put Chimaev cage side for both matchups just to like intimidate and stir that shit up. I get down like that, Luke. I know you don't want to hear about that. You don't want to hear about MMA power couples. I mean, I get it.
Yeah, who does? Who could? I mean, could you imagine a topic more boring than that?
I mean, I think ABC Nation and Cody Brundage are pregnant as well again, Luke. So congratulations.
I'm mad at them. I hope it all goes quite well. But I'm just saying, in terms of like the bandwidth of my day to like a portion of your day.
Yeah.
For that seems like a profound waste of a day,
Yeah. We all have, we all listen to different things, Luke. Some of us abortion rock. Hey, let's talk about this UFC Vancouver main card for October 18th. I'd love to know what the local authorities are paying in terms of a site fee, because Vancouver is getting almost Baku, Azerbaijan, or Abu Dhabi level bookings here. Your main event is that 5-round RDR fluffy matchup with so much at stake. You got Marlon Vera against Ayman Helwani Zahabi. You've got Kevin Holland against Canadian Mike Malott. Manon Farrell, coming off of the title loss, will take on a streaking Jasmine Jasdavicius in her home country, looking to crack the title picture. And Bruno Silva at flyweight against Hyun Sung Park, are the highlights from this. Luke Thomas, you can give me a letter grade if you want, but would you agree with me that this feels really good for a fight night, dude?
It feels very good for a fight night. I would absolutely agree with that. I don't know. And also Canada having a little bit of a moment. There's been a couple of Canadian standouts on both the men's and women's side, or at least some making some noise enough to put a little bit of some local flair on this to get it done. Yes. And then overall, the card has meaningful matchups. The main event is killer. I mean, perfect fight night main event. There is quite a bit to like here in this Vancouver card. And, I'm glad to see the UFC expending the effort to make it happen.
And Long Island Luke, just updating us on the odds for that Paris main event. Kaio is -118, Imavov -102. So we're looking at virtual pick'em in that matchup. To close the door, though, on Vancouver, there was one matchup that could have even potentially upped the ante on this card, or maybe replaced the main event. And if you listen to Sean Brady, that was Brady versus Ian Machado Gary. It won't happen. Here's Sean Brady explaining why.
So I got a call from my manager right around International Fight Week, so at the end of June timeframe, about me and Ian fighting in Chicago. I said yes. Didn't hear anything for weeks. I'm assuming the UFC moved on. Recently, they hit us up. They said, me and Ian, main event in Vancouver. I said, yes, immediately. Yes, let's go. I've been wanting to fight since May, and these were the only ones I've been offered. Said yes twice. Now, I don't know why Ian's fucking was dragging his feet or whatever he was doing, and now they put in RDR and Fluffy. So now, once again, we're sitting and waiting. So, thanks, Ian. Just lost another main event because of you, my man.
You can hear that Philly angst right there. The anger, Luke. We got to get this matchup, and we got to get it soon.
I mean, Ian Gary has historically not ducked the smoke. You had to kind of give him credit for that. But if he's ducking it now, that's a problem. But, if I was him, I wouldn't want to fight Sean Brady either. That's a bad matchup, I think. So we'll see.
Yeah, that is going to be a heck of a fight. The division needs it. Let's sort things out at welterweight. Let's figure that out, UFC. All right, let's go to topic number 3. Big fight announcement this week that, boy, did it receive a polarizing reaction. Maybe rightfully so. November 14th, live on Netflix, State Farm Arena in Atlanta. You're going to get the return of Gervonta Tank Davis. It's going to come against Jake Paul, though, in an exhibition fight. And Luke, most of the boxing world has been at full outrage in the aftermath of this announcement, even going as far as saying this fight is only contributing to the continued slow death and erosion of American boxing in particular. I saw you tweet that, unlike me, this fight doesn't personally offend you. So the best you can, tell me the reasons why this matchup, pairing a fighter like Paul, who's 66 pounds heavier, 8 inches taller, and with an 8.5-inch reach advantage, is anything but the extreme waste of time and money that me as a boxing purist is about to tell you?
It's all the things you think it is. It's just, I don't know how to explain this to you. Boxing purists there's not enough of you anymore. There's not enough of you to keep the sport from doing this anymore. Not here. I mean, maybe overseas it's a little bit different. I think obviously, in fact, it probably is, right? I think it's different in England, maybe different in Japan, Japan and some other place, Germany perhaps, but not here. Not here. There's not enough demand from folks like you for the promoter to care about this, or frankly, the fighters themselves to care about this. You know, we are not, you know, we are guilty in the have you played the game of benefiting from Jake Paul and Logan Paul coverage. We covered Floyd and Logan Paul's dumbass, whatever. Was that an exhibition? I guess it was. I can't remember. Yeah. And then we did 3 of the Jake Paul fights. We did the Anderson Silva fight and then both Woodley fights. And, you know, to me, it felt a little, this feels a little bit different, BC, because Jake Paul wasn't taking Silva away from, you know, what boxing was asking of him. He wasn't taking Woodley away from anything, MMA career or otherwise. And, you know, Logan Paul and, I mean, Floyd had been done for years by the time that they had, you know, did what they did. So it was just a complete sideshow. But now the sideshow is the show. It's the main show. And you could say, well, didn't Tyson Fury fight Francis Ngannou in the middle of his boxing career, and it didn't upend things necessarily? That's true. It delayed them to a degree, yes. But, you know, he still went and fought Usyk no matter what, right?
They were also in the same weight class, Luke.
They're also in the same weight class, and there's that. And I understand. So, but the point I'm trying to make is, like, you're taking these, like, fights that have nothing to do with your actual boxing career. They're just these fights that you take, these exhibitions that you do for a massive payday. He did it too, but like with Gervonta, who already tried to cherry pick Lamont. I don't think Lamont was the guy to do that with, because I think it backfired on him. And then, you know, then he gets arrested, and I realized that the charges were dropped, but there's lots of questions about what the hell that's supposed to mean. And then comes back and then, like, basically just flat out ducks Lamont Roach in order to take this Jake Paul fight, which makes no sense in any way whatsoever. But BC, number one, I'm going to make the claim that I think Gervonta versus Jake Paul does bigger numbers than Canelo Crawford. I don't think that's in any way questionable. I think that's exactly what's going to happen. And more to the point, Gervonta could lose this fight. Like, that's actually a real thing, because yes, Gervonta is an enormous puncher, but that, I mean, that's not going to go much above 55 or at most 70, 170. We're talking about a guy who's in the 200s. Like, he could be made to, he's ducking to take a fight that he'll lose against a guy who's not supposed to be good. We understand the value of weight classes. I don't know if the average person does. And I'm trying to explain to people, like, the reason they're able to go through with all of this is, yes, there's an enormous financial incentive, but the reality is there's nothing else to the reality of American boxing that is in any way, for the people who are putting boxing on, a serviceable alternative. Like, this is boxing in the States, or at least part of the story of boxing in the States.
I mean, it's
there's not enough of you to change the incentives.
I know that. It's also part of boxing shooting itself in the foot, being broken. It's also that boxing is in mid-transition. What's going to happen with Zuffa Boxing, Turkey? Like, there's a lot that we don't know. Top Rank still hasn't announced their new TV deal. PBC seems like it's date to date, but damn, this sucks. And I don't want to hear anyone say, like, well, Muhammad Ali did it while he was undisputed champion. Well, yeah, that was when he came off of the Thrilla in Manila, the trilogy with Frazier. He was in his mid to late 30s, and he took a bunch of those type of fights, Lyle Alzado, Antonio Inoki. But in those same calendar years, he also fought 4 times against actual opponents. And also by that point, he had, like, accomplished everything. This is a Tank Davis who's under so much scrutiny because he's clearly one of the pound for pound best in the sport, clearly one of the biggest stars. But, you know, his critics have been saying for years they want him to take chances and fight the champions in his division. I think there were opportunities to do that. Then when you're coming off a draw against Roach, where Roach got the short end of a stick, should have won that fight. We know about the controversy with the knee and the scoring and all that. To have a situation where he was arrested and almost potentially went back to jail, and now we're doing this. And I heard what you said about Tank could lose this. My biggest problem is it's an exhibition, so there is no winner and loser. That doesn't really matter. It should be an exhibition, because how could you commission this? I mean, it is different when it's a novice Logan Paul against a retired Floyd Mayweather, and that that got us excited coming in. It was new, it was fresh, but it turned out to be a virtual sparring match. Tyson versus Jake Paul was a virtual sparring match. Even if you tell me you can see the future and this is oddly competitive and maybe Tank drops him or maybe Tank gets hurt and has to come back, I'm like, for what, Luke? For what? I know it's prize fighting, but I know I'm speaking heavily with the boxing purist heart, but can we show Long Island Luke that graphic that boxing scene put out? It is a fertile time in Tank Davis's career. Should he still want to fight and he has been talking about retirement earlier this year, to seek really big matchups. You look at the champions in his division, Shakur Stevenson, Keyshawn Davis but he missed weight and lost the title. Lamont Roach deserves a rematch. Teofimo's lingering. A Manny Pacquiao Tank fight at welterweight, whether you love it or not, could have been big business for PBC. Luke, does this tell you that Tank could be cashing himself out and either retiring or walking away from the sport? Like, this doesn't tell me that he still has the eye of the tiger.
Yeah, no, I think that's a pretty safe read. I mean, life is funny. Who knows if he needs money later? He tries to keep fighting. And the Lamont Roach rematch, BC, would do good numbers. It wouldn't do Jake Paul numbers, but it would do good numbers. But, yeah, I mean, I don't know how you can look at this and think that this guy is locked on. Outside of the cage, outside of the ring, he's not locked on, and inside, he's barely locked on at all. And I mean, it's coming apart, and there's really no other stars. Like, dude, the argument was always, like Jake's gimmick works because he's getting desperate MMA fighters who need a payday, to fight in boxing. Like that's who he can feast off of because that's who needs his services, so to speak, the halo that he brings. And now it's the biggest stars in boxing. Like, that is different, dude. That is different. That is not what was happening before. It was figures who were essentially not irrelevant, but irrelevant to the core game from which they came. And now it's boxing going hat in hand. And by the way, I think the fact that PBC doesn't have money, at least not much, is probably playing a role here as well. They need a financial windfall, and this will provide it. Like, this is just... tell you, this is boxing in the States at the moment. That's just what it is.
It's tough. Let's go to that Jake Paul tweet announcing it, where it seems like he's trying to force up a beef. Gervonta, who has been disrespecting my name for too long, his nickname might be Tank, but I'm drone. IP, whatever. I mean, enough of this bullshit. Luke, there is no beef between them. It's not lost on me that this was going to be the plan.
Hold on. My motto is anyone, anytime, any place, against all odds. I think he's been the favorite in essentially... How many times look this up. How many times has Jake Paul been the favorite?
The only fight where he potentially wouldn't have been is Tommy Fury. But I think coming in, we all thought Tommy Fury was trash. And then he put on actually a decent performance. And then he would say I'm going to kill David. Then I'm going to go after Goliath. Look, I get that Jake Paul tried to rematch with Fury. It just came out that Tommy Fury turned down big money for that. Jake tried to get Canelo. He got double crossed by Turkey. He tried to get Anthony Joshua. It didn't happen for whatever reason recently. But Luke, to come off of that Tyson fight where, Jake made huge money, made a huge splash, but it really killed his credibility of like, are you really climbing the ladder to fight a cruiserweight title? And then he fights dead Chavez, but he did have a cruiserweight champion in the co-main. Like, what does this say that he's going back to the well here against a lightweight? I mean, I just, it's like, what are we doing? It's pro wrestling to me. Even if it's a real fight, and I'm not saying it's unscripted, don't sue me, Jake. But when you're doing an exhibition where there's crazy size mismatches, you may not get an actual fight in the end. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, dude, Jake Paul's fights suck the backside of my balls. I mean, the knockout against Fury and the knockout against Woodley in the second fight was nice. But folks forget the fight itself leading up to the KO was, absolutely dreadful beyond description. And then most of the time a Jake Paul fight is over and you're like, what the fuck was that nonsense? Like, whoever leaves being like, wow, I really enjoyed that fight. It was really fun. Almost, I guess the Mike Perry fight, because it was so one-sided, but even then it was like so one-sided. You're like, what is this? This is what he does, dude. This is what he does. This is the Jake Paul experience.
Let's see this tweet from Derek Brunson summing up the situation. He says, Jake will go where no man has gone before. Heavyweights, flyweights, females, LGBT, disabled. Doesn't matter. Everyone can get it. Hilarious. Brunson also tweeted the other day, why the hell did I sign with PFL? I should have
That's
went
all.
back to UFC. What was I thinking? And then you've got here Lamont Roach rightfully has a bone to pick here. He put out the tweet saying, told you with the Ducks. And then this came from Lamont Roach's Instagram story. He went to a club and paid, you know, when they come out with the bottle service and they put the sign up, tank dunking. Luke, to close this topic, what should Lamont Roach do now? I mean, we could say he got screwed, but it's business, it's boxing, it happens. But I feel bad for him after that performance. I'd love Shakur Stevenson. What do you think he does next?
I don't think it makes any sense to wait for Tank. I don't think he's coming through that door ever again. I think you just move on. Right. Try to leverage that too. If you can get Shakur, great. If you can get somebody else, great. Just go fight again because you're wasting time.
Yeah, you got to build off that momentum because that was a breakout performance. Took Tank's best shots, outworked him. Big performance there. All right, let's keep the show moving. Hey, Luke, you already know that when it comes to travel, like we do often for work or for the summertime, getting away with the family, sometimes it can be difficult to pack. You know, do I overpack? Do I underpack? Am I worried about forgetting the essentials? How big are those bottles of liquid I could bring on the plane? You got a lot of issues, right? Do I need 3 mini bottles to make sure I have a good deodorant? Do I need a backup deodorant? Luckily, our friends at Mando have fixed this problem, and that's why I started packing a little bit smarter with Mando. Whether we're talking about the deodorant stick, whether we're talking about the deodorant lotion, the spray, so many great things, including the Mando 4-in-1 acidified cleansing bar for the shower. Mando will keep you covered during the summertime blues when the terms like swamp ass start to enter the lexicon. We're talking about deodorant, shampoo, face wash, body wash, all in one bar with that 4-in-1 acidified cleansing bar. It simplifies your whole hygiene routine. It really could work as shaving lather if you wanted it to. I know, Luke, that when I'm around my wife who can smell out anything ahead of time, when I'm wearing that Mando, it's like, okay, good. You're showered, you're clean, you're ready to go. And I know on the run, Mando's going to fight that battle right here for me, Luke. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, that's right. It's going to stop odor before it starts. Of course, being talking about your underarms here. All day odor blocking, not just masking with fragrance. So some of you absolute clowns out there who think that's what you know is proper hygiene. It's not. And also, by the way, it fights sweat, so you get double protection. It's simple, 1 or 2 swipes, obviously under each arm, and you're fresh and dry all day, safe for all skin types. That's important. Doctor-developed, high-quality, premium ingredients, and of course, they all serve purposes. There's not filler or junk in there. And this isn't, of course, your average deodorant or antiperspirant. It combats sweat, it stops odor, and it respects skin. And by the way, you know, this is obviously here in my neck of the woods. It can be hot outside this time of year. It's very, very not just heat, but of course, it is humid. You know, whether you're out there mowing the lawn or whether you're out there going for a walk or, you know, just spending time outdoors, this is something you're going to need for these like very sweaty summer situations. So folks, check out everything at shopmando.com and you can use our code COMBAT, that's combat with a K, for 20% off site-wide plus free shipping for new customers only. BC, are there any other things they need to know about in the Mando's starter pack, for example?
Yeah, it's got you completely covered. It comes with the solid stick deodorant, the cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice, like the mini body wash, the deodorant wipes, and free shipping. I use that spray for my regular day, but when I'm going to be somewhere hot, golfing, out there at the beach, I'm going to put that cream on, that lotion as well, to smell even better. How about what these products are made of? Baking soda free, paraben free. As a special offer for our listeners, our new customers can get 20% off site-wide using our exclusive code. That's combat with a K at shopmando.com for 20% off site-wide plus free shipping. And that Mando starter pack couldn't be any more perfect for new customers. So head on over to shopmando.com. Please support our show. Tell them we sent you. Yeah, BC and LT, because Mando's got you covered. Protect your pits and smell great doing it. That's what I'm talking about for the end of this summer. All right, let's go. There it is. There it is. Use our code COMBAT with a K. Let's go to topic number 4. Last night, Thursday night, Hollywood, Florida, the PFL had their final tournament championships for the 2025 season in 3 different events or weight classes, on this 3-fight main card of light heavyweight, heavyweight, and middleweight. So, Luke, let's start with that main event, which was a fun affair between Fabian Edwards, the brother of former UFC champion Leon and a Bellator veteran himself, against Dakota Ditcheva's new significant other, the rising Dalton Rasta. And you want to talk about a wild finish here for Fabian Edwards, not only a head kick dead at 128 of round 3, but you and Long Island Luke pointed out to me 3 years and 1 day removed from when Leon Edwards did the same thing to Kamaru Usman in their rematch to claim the UFC title. Luke, what the heck could you say about the cosmic synergy in that moment?
I was watching last night. It was incredible. And it was the same leg, too. It was the left leg, that went upside, in this case, Rosta's head, and then previously Usman's. Dude, MMA, I'm telling you, dude, one of the things that makes MMA so special, and I mean, I realize that, all sports have some degree of this quality, but sometimes it just feels like MMA really has it, is just its capacity, not just to amaze you, but to amaze you with weird things that you just couldn't think ever would happen or, would never line up. And it doesn't line up perfectly. It wasn't to the day that the head kick happened, but to be like 1 day removed from it essentially is so absurd. And for the head kick to, and by the way, if you didn't notice, like Leon jumps over the cage and celebrates with Fabian the same way that Fabian and his team celebrated with Leon. Like they both ran over and embraced in the same kind of like forceful way. Like there was just so many echoes of it. MMA has the capacity to just blow you away with stuff like this. And now the co-main event on this night, the heavyweight fight, it sucked the backside of a dead man's balls, but the opener was great with Collie and Shoeface. And then in the main event, obviously with Edwards and Rasta, which was a fine fight up until the end. PFL, dude, at least in terms of what's happening in the cage, and then there's some smattering of an audience out there these last couple of shows, they're having a little bit of a nice run here.
They got some momentum. I mean, that October 3rd card is going to be great. I just sat down with Paul Hughes yesterday. You can check out that interview later today on the BCX, where he says Ali Abdelaziz looks like a dolphin, Luke, which is very interesting. That rematch with Usman is a big deal. But hey, you got to give love here to Fabian Edwards, 32 years old. He's won 3 straight since joining the PFL. His last Bellator fight was in October of 24. That was his debut fight with PFL, in where he lost the Bellator middleweight championship to Johnny Eblen, challenging for Eblen's title. But since going PFL proper here and entering the tournament this year, he stopped Imba Kasangane, took a decision from Josh Silveira, and now gets the highlight reel finish. And they did show, faces in the crowd of, Dakota being like, damn. Nice breakout moment for him, continuing that momentum, as you mentioned, in the co-main event, the heavyweight final. Oleg Popov getting a split decision over 5 rounds against UFC vet Alexander Romanov. Luke, this looked like 2 bears hugging for most of the fight. What is Romanov's deal? I know that when he
this is more of the Popov special. He tends to produce a lot of these bullshit ass fights.
Yeah, but I know Romanov kind of lost his way in UFC, had personal problems, gassed out when he was on that hot streak, and then kind of went downhill with his weight. So I don't want to bag on him. But he made the tournament final here, dude, and he looked like he was 300 pounds in there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Did you see the Romanov celebration party from the previous fight?
No, I didn't.
A bunch of shirtless dudes from Moldova sitting around eating Papa John's and drinking Stella. I mean, these guys are, they're not living life like, they're not living a monastic life. I can tell you that. I mean, it's sort of monastic in a way, but not in terms of, dietary restriction. Yeah. I mean, dude, this is what I mean. People want to bag on the UFC's heavyweight division, and with good reason. But show me whose heavyweight division is on fire.
I mean, put Francis in the damn tournament then. Let's go. He's an asset. Use him, PFL.
Francis has issues.
I know. It's not fully their fault outside of signing that crazy deal. And look at what happened. You mentioned the light heavyweight final. Shout out to UFC vet Shoeface Antonio Carlos Jr. It was a back and forth fight with Sully Cauley there of Bellator fame. Carlos Jr. got knocked down, got back up, knocked down again, ends up getting a 2nd round submission after beating the brakes off Cauley with those strikes, with the blood and everything. Luke, that was an emotional win, and it's a good story in that regard that, even if you do get cut by UFC, to come over to 2nd biggest organization and win a tournament like this, big deal for this man at age 35.
Yeah, Shoeface has made $1.5 million or more in the PFL, winning 2 tournaments. Like,
yep.
Where was he going to get that money ever? Where in 2 years, essentially? I mean, he's been in the PFL longer, but like those are 2-year campaigns. When was he ever going to make money like that in the UFC? Like, I mean, it's just not possible. So, this is why I'm so worried about the future of MMA, because if PFL doesn't survive, where can guys outside of UFC go to get money like that? It's going to be very, very, very difficult to do, if not impossible. So good for Shoeface. He's still a quality fighter. Is he the best in the world? No. But is he a quality, well-rounded, experienced, gritty veteran at this point? Absolutely. And he's got some real jiu-jitsu skills as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's good.
He's 10-1 since leaving the UFC and coming to PFL in 2021 with 1 no contest. The only loss, a decision last year to Alex Easy Polizzi, but he's the 2021 and 2025 champion at light heavyweight. Long Island Luke, did you do a live ass show for this too?
I did not. I was being a good boyfriend last night. Gaff did a full card watch along though. I'm pretty sure he had
Gaff's like, yo, I don't care about my significant other at all.
All right. And Long Island Luke did update us on Jake Paul's odds history, Luke. Here we go. Jake Paul was an underdog in his debut against that pre-diabetic gas station attendant and Easton Gibb, which is wild to me. And he was a pick'em at -115 against Tommy Fury. So there you go.
So he's like, I'm going to fight anyone that's old enough and small enough. Dude, he is the Man on the Moon movie. Who's it about? It's about
Andy Kaufman.
Sorry, my brain couldn't pull that name. Dude, he's basically doing the Andy Kaufman bit, just not ironically.
yeah, in a lot of ways right there.
He's like, his next fight is going to be against Holly Holm. You know what I mean?
Topic number 5 comes just as I need to piss my pants, Luke. I'm going to try my best here. All right. This unprofessional
just go
show.
on yourself. Like
hey, BKFC had a wild press conference yesterday in Newark, New Jersey. They should have held it right in Newark Penn Station, but to give them credit, they do have a big card coming up October 4th. Main event, Mike Perry against Jeremy Stevens in a grudge match for the King of Violence title. We're going to get Frankie Edgar against Jimmy Rivera. We'll talk about that in a second. And this wild women's matchup between Christine Ferreira and what's that chick's name? Jessica Borga is bordering on the obscene. But Luke, right off the top, we know BKFC is a way of disrupting the combat sports scene with weird fights and insane trash talk. What would be the letter grade in your eyes for this October 4th main event, Mike Perry versus Jeremy Stevens, from the standpoint of like, fuck it, I'll tune in to watch this wild ass fight and see if somebody gets maimed? This is a question for you. I'm not as into BKFC as you are. This is a thing that you put on the rundown because you like talking about it. But like, I'll check out the highlights, but am I going to spend my evening like watching the Jerry Springer of combat sports? I have to say, probably not. They're tentpole events, which definitely are the Jerry Springer of combat sports, or maybe the Steve Wilkos show. They do deliver on that cringe entertainment. Let's for me, Luke, this is like a B+. This is a great matchup. I'm actually. I mean, I'll say this once again: that when they put on big shows, the shows they're definitely big. They're definitely real, and they've got good names on this that I can imagine MMA fans caring about a lot. I understand that. It's just like okay, I'll say that. Let's go to the face-off here. BKFC on this press conference yesterday. Here's Perry and Stevens facing off. Mike Perry.
Who's gonna be the baddest on fight night? October 4th, Prudential Center, live on the show. Jeremy Stevens and Mike Perry. The winner is the King of Violence. You don't want to miss it. The biggest, the baddest combat sport event.
Look, this is the monster truck rally racing of combat sports. Okay, so talk to me about this. Both guys have talked about during this press conference that a win gets them the fight against the boss, meaning Conor McGregor. And remember, they did a face-off with Mike Perry and Conor before. Also, Jeremy Stevens has the backstory there with the hardest hitting 145er. But interesting enough, BKFC leader David Feldman opened this press conference by saying Conor couldn't make it because he's training so hard for his comeback. And then he straight up said with no disclaimer, he expects Conor to fight the winner of Perry versus Stevens. Isn't Conor training for like a White House UFC comeback if that even happens? Like, are they telling the truth here, Luke, or do we not know the reality of the contracts right now?
I mean, promoters say lots of things. I mean, it seems intuitive that there would be a chance that he would eventually fight in BKFC, but he's got 2 fights left, as we understand it, on his UFC deal.
Wasn't there a tweet like the UFC roster tracker that thing tweeted like a week?
Yes, but then his manager came out and said that that was not real.
All right, sorry.
So I mean, I don't know what to say about that. I mean, do promoters say lots of things? And why wouldn't you say that if you could make people interested in your product? But I'll believe it. I mean, I'm not saying it won't happen, but I'll believe it when I see it.
All right, here's Jeremy Stevens talking about what he's going to do to Mike Perry.
That's not Eddie's fucking jaw. Mike's breaking orbitals like it's too hot for TV shit. BKFC is the baddest, bloodiest combat sport since #1. And you got 2 of the best fucking fighters. One might be lighter, one might be bigger, but I'm fucking better. And I'm going to go there and prove it. I'm not here for the check. I'm here to break this motherfucker's neck and the opportunity of whooping your fucking boss that comes with it. That's my life. Fuck everybody, dude. Everybody's all against me. I don't give a fuck, dude. I'm going to come in here. I'm going to fucking murder this cat. He's going to wake up and shook. His eyes are going to be like, oh, the hardest hitting 45er had to step up and fucking prove to what I already know and certain of. I'm going to fucking smash you.
All right, I'm in, dude. I don't care. I came from a trash town. I'm in. I'm not in on Frankie Edgar, Luke. The 43-year-old will be in the co-main against Jimmy Rivera. He's lost 6 of his last 7 UFC fights to end his career, 5 by KO. Here's Frankie talking about why.
We're in Jersey. You guys came here. It's hard to pass up. As soon as I saw this sport, I was very intrigued. I'm a fighter. This is definitely probably the funniest of all combat sports, you know what I mean? And I had to try it out, and why not do it here? It's just, it's intriguing, I used to fight for free in Seaside with no gloves, so why not get paid to do it here in North? And the training's been training just for boxing is, my neck feels great. No one's hanging on my neck. My shoulders feel great. It's amazing. I said I'd never fight again. Here I am. So who's going to take me for my word, really? You know what I mean? Let's see how this first one goes, and we'll take it from there.
I don't want this, Luke.
I mean, dude, they weren't just knockouts. They were like vicious, completely unconscious, horrible knockouts. This is a terrible idea. This is an insane risk he's taking. I'm surprised New Jersey is allowing this. They typically have a little bit more, they exercise more restraint. If he's viciously KO'd here, then I don't know how they could possibly license him ever again. Rivera has been up and down in BKFC, but has been going to decision. He did get stopped once via cuts, but he's been pretty sturdy, I think, for the most part. He's not a dynamic puncher, but do you have to be in bare knuckle? Like, it's a huge risk.
Yeah, I hate it. Let's close with this, Luke. I can't wait to see your reaction. Christine Ferreira and Jessica Borga, who we've already shown on Have You Seen This Shit, saying ridiculous things to each other, continued that yesterday.
See the girls go at it with this much emotion and passion. Would either one of you be willing to stand up and say that you're willing to be friends after this fight ends?
No, fuck that bitch.
She's a cum drunk alcoholic. I'm good.
She keeps bringing that up, but I'd beat her with cum in my mouth. A mouthful of it.
I'm sure you could.
Yeah, I would. You would appreciate it.
Easy work, and that is the pun intended, sweetheart.
Oh, we'll find out. We'll find out, Cupcake.
Dude, why do you bring this trash on the show?
All right, let's see their face off.
I'd rather see 20 minutes of your cat's butthole than that.
Let's close with the face off here, then we'll get into dead wrongs. Please.
And here we go, no surprises. It's going to be 5 2-minute rounds, 135 pounds. The queen of...
Look, I'm in. I'm sorry. I'm in. This.
Dude, let me just say this straight up. You're dub T. You're dub ass T is what you are.
I do know what it looks like and sounds like. I grew up around it, Luke. Maybe I was too. You never know. All right, that is over our 5 topics. We're going to close with 2 fan segments. And remember, morningkombat@gmail.com is your pathway to reach us. Tell Mikey you said hi. Don't show pictures of your dong. We start off with Dead Wrong, your opportunity to call us out for some shit we said wrong. We got 6 of them today.
Jesus.
This one's called Dead Wrong.
Dead Wrong.
All right, let's hear from Nick. He says, hey, fellas, Nick from Virginia, back on the attack. I hope BC brought his appetite to work because he will be getting a full belly of his own butt today. Right around the 2-minute mark on the pregame preview episode on Thursday, and immediately after Luke praised Matt Fervola's nips in his Ray Longo shirt, BC stated that DDP will be making his 4th title defense. BC, you donkey-brained bitch. This is DDP's 4th consecutive title fight. It was only his 3rd defense. I assume that you pre-gamed your own pre-game with the Devil's Reserve, and that is the reason for your slip-up. Just breaking your balls, BC. I love you. Once you watch the Jeff Buckley documentary that's coming out, I can't wait to hear your what you think of it. It's never over. Peace out, honkies. I'll take the L on there. I can't wait to watch that Jeff Buckley doc. Believe me. Let's go to Connor number 2 here. I have a dead wrong for Luke at 12:36 of the August 11th episode. Where are we going? Here we go. When discussing the Paramount deal, Luke states that new streaming rights deal is worth more than Paramount is worth by citing the market capitalization figure of
enterprise value
billion. The market cap value is correct, but market cap is only the value of the outstanding equity in the company. It's disingenuous to assign value of a business on market cap and not on enterprise value, which includes assets and debts on the balance sheet. Mergers and acquisitions are based off of enterprise value and not market cap. The enterprise value of Paramount is 19 billion plus as of writing this email.
Yeah, I know, but I even tweeted about that later. But it's like, okay, then it's still worth not quite, but almost half. Like that's an insane amount of money for the UFC. That's my
point. No talk about EBITDA. EBITDA, yeah. John Nash loves that shit. Luke, you're taking that L, but whatever.
I'll take the L, and he's right. I have to take the L.
Let's hear from Daz. He'll mahalo your ass and give those mother effers. He says on Monday's show, August 11th at 45 minutes, LT mentions GSP and Khabib as examples of champs that exited at the right time. And BC, referencing Khabib's reason for retiring, responds with, but that was father's wish. BC, I believe you are confusing 2 things associated with Khabib's parents. Father's plan was Abdulmanap's guide for Khabib's MMA success, whereas it was Khabib's mother who expressed a wish that Khabib would never fight without his late father as coach. As we all know, Khabib beat Gaethje and then honored his promise to his mother. Yes, you're right. I will take that L, Daz. Very well done. Can't wait for you to bare knuckle fight Telvin Big Papa Key Papa there in the Lava Shack. Let's hear from Marcus. He says on Monday's MK show at 1 hour and 29, LT said Moses Atama at 20 could not vote in the US.
Jesus, yes, of course he could. Yes, so you're so right.
Whether he's in his adopted nation of the US or his birth nation of India, the voting age for Luke is 18. It doesn't take a mathlete to know 20 is greater than 18. Keep up the
all right. That's an L I have to take. Yes, indeed.
Jacob is here at 1:15:10 during fan subs of August 8th. Luke refers to the fan Run Dem Cheeks as a former Marine. As Luke himself has pointed out countless times, there's no such thing as a former Marine.
Oh, you're so fucking wrong. Who wrote this? Somebody who doesn't know what they're talking about.
Jacob.
Who wrote this?
Jacob.
Okay. Guys, there's no such thing as an ex-Marine. And in fact, the proper terminology is former Marine. I know this because I served. I'm fucking telling you that's what they teach. You cannot say ex-Marine. Dickbags. No, I will not take that L. Lick my ass.
Wow. Pelota pie coming to you, Jacob. Take that L, biatch. All right, we close with Owain. Owain. It might be Owain, or it could be like, Gaelic for like Sharon or something. You never know, Luke. Hello, donks. It's that time of the week again to take your dead wrongs like a man. This week, Luke audaciously proclaimed at 45 minutes of last Friday's show that DDP could never have made 170. Not only is that dead wrong with DDP having several fights there, he had back-to-back title fights at KSW with Roberto.
I meant he couldn't
Solis.
make it now. I mean, I realize that it's unclear, but the point is not that he was never 170 pounds. The point is that now it's not realistic.
Well, the pedantic police have been heard. He says you need to take this big L served hot, Luke. So thank you.
I'll take it in a spirit of congeniality, but it's
all
not
right.
quite
That
accurate.
is dead wrong. I know not everybody loves that segment, but it is important to stand your guard.
I think it's an important segment because we only lose. We never win. You know what I mean? Like, it's important for that to happen.
All right. We close with an opportunity for you to send us pictures of your artwork, your lovely wife dressed in our t-shirts, and maybe even something that'll end up on a t-shirt. This one's called Fan Submissions.
You've got mail.
Viewers. Are you surprised that Saul from Louisville will kick us off? He says the month of August never looks so good. Luke was talking Mediterranean food on his live chat last week, and it really got me craving some too. So I took the wife out to get some high quality food, and later on in the week, it was time for some very low quality food. Both were a 10 out of 10 when he had that corn dog, MK all day. Luke, he's wearing both of our August exclusive shirts. He is our number one fan. I mean, come on right now.
Yo, show me the picture of this. First of all, that's very cool. He's eating some delicious foods. Looks like some labneh and some hummus and baba ganoush. Turn the photo. Dog, what are we wearing here?
Now, I thought he was naked from the waist down at first, but those look
What
like...
are those pants? Dog, did you rob a Peter Pan play at the local community theater and just take their clothes?
Wow. He's sucking on chili dogs. Yeah. That's great.
Outside the taste of freeze.
Oh, Saul's the best. Louisville doesn't deserve him. I can't wait to one day broadcast from his house, Luke. It's going to be great. All right.
Yeah,
I'll
BC's
be the
like, it's going to be great. I'm going to bang his wife and then do something.
I mean, I would be the meat in a Saul A marriage sandwich, but I don't know about
BC,
you.
if I euthanized your pets, which ones, what's the power ranking of which ones you'd miss the most?
Good Lord. All right, let's go over to Nick. He says, what's up, boys? Nick from Ohio. Day one donk here, but this is my first time submitting. I recently acquired the 3 Margaritas LT shirt, and I had to go to my favorite local cantina, Las Margaritas, and represent. They may or may not be scamming us, honkies, but the margs make my vision blurry, and the food makes my butthole burn all the same. Much love. Keep up the good work. We watch the show religiously. We can't live without it. MK all day, 2 times a week.
Hell
Shout
yeah,
out
that's what they call one of those Cadillac margaritas. You know what I mean?
Yes.
When you get the big joints. He got the frozen one too, like an absolute puss. That's the correct choice. Because I make that same one.
Well done, Nick. Thank you for buying our merch. Remember, I told you that my dad is like a massive Kid Rock fan musically, and I just can't handle it. Like 2003-ish. I flew to Florida after my parents moved there with my girlfriend at the time and my 2 best friends. We walk in, my parents are like, hey, we got dinner ready for you. Let's go. My dad, which is custom, always goes to put music on. He put on the song Cadillac Pussy by Kid Rock and blasted it. And I'm like, oh my God, we're in full Florida mode already. Wow. All right. That's great. Let's go to number 3. This is RJ with no comment.
When Luke finally gets on the toilet and stops crop dusting. This is true. I do feel like Thanos.
Yeah.
having just taken all the Infinity Stones.
Well done there, RJ Dunkel, Gangbang, or Arya. Let's go to Average Joe Art. We love this guy, our reigning and defending Donk of the Year. He says, a few weeks ago, I introduced you all to the next big summer blockbuster, Breach. Today, I'd like to introduce you to the newest toy craze brought to you by Average Joe Toys. Meet Skeledonk and Brian, the most washed figures in the universe. This is obviously He-Man themed. He says the ghoulish grammar master Skeledonk is outfitted with his evil weightlifting gloves, belt, and knee supports and toe shoes, as well as his post-surgery shoulder brace. Naturally, he's adorned by the evil Barbus, RIP, and both his armor and Barbus barbell accessory. And the heroically washed, not He-Man, but Brie-Man calls on the power of gas station hot dogs and the questionable science of AG1. Brienne features his heroic hair dye, soft ankle cast, and One Love gym sock. He also comes with his non-sci-fi laser sword because despite claiming Star Wars and Dune are his favorite movies, both sci-fi and fantasy genres, quote, aren't his thing. That's a true fact. The second entry, so first of all, that is fantastic, but look at this, Luke. The second entry I have for you kind of explains itself. I've been thinking about this one for months. Black Liver Society. Oh my God.
From like, you know, from the band Black Label Society.
Yeah, from Zach Wild. That is
Yeah.
so good. It says BC on the flag. It says MK on the other. And Joe closes by saying, I never get tired of making these ever. Luke,
Dude,
you could
the
say this man
Skeledonk
knows
one
us.
is outrageous. It's
He knows
outrageous.
us. He knows us very, very well.
That
Well
is
done.
freaking
Average Joe.
outrageous.
Wow, that's good stuff. Those are your fan subs for the
Amazing.
week. Dude, we got to sell that Black Liver Society shirt like right
Yeah,
now,
sure.
I'm telling you. Reminder for merch. Thank you. morningkombat@gmail.com. You can reach the show. Thank you so much for playing to get your shit in there. Also, our August merch, as pre-mentioned, morningkombat.shop. Get the exclusives for one more week here before they're gone. You want to look like Saul with vaping is for closers. Do it. And a reminder, you can mix and match the colors on almost everything on that website. So you can get pink for the ladies. You can get whatever you think you look best in. Have some fun at morningkombat.shop. Today's episode of Morning Kombat, of course, was presented by DraftKings. And with DraftKings, the crown is yours. LT, I hope you enjoy the fights tomorrow morning. You going to watch live?
No, fuck no.
All right. All right.
No.
That's interesting. I hope you have a great weekend. What do we got next week? Is it another dead week of combat?
Yeah, there's no card. There's that Misfits boxing card with Darren
Luke
Till.
Rockhold and Darren Till. I'll watch that shit.
There's no UFC or any other.
I know,
major
but like
anyway.
Tony Ferguson versus Salt Bay, that might be the saddest. Maybe it won't be. Maybe it won't be, but it has the capacity.
Did you just call him Salt Bay?
What's his name? Salt Poppy. Salt Poppy. Yeah, sorry. Salt Bay's this guy, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, Salt Poppy. That has the capacity to be profoundly and intensely depressing. I'm curious to see what happens there.
All right, we're 2 weeks out from Imavov versus Bohalio. I got to go pee my pants. Luke, take us out of here. All right, thank you.
All right. Let's see. We got that. Follow us on our various social channels. You can put that up on the screen, I think. Yeah, there we go. You got Morning Kombat. You got my stuff. You got BC stuff. One more time, Long Island Luke, you're doing the full effing card for
Full
UFC
card
Shanghai,
watch
like an
along.
absolute degenerate.
3 a.m. start. Also, in about 40 minutes time, prop quiz episode 2 dropping. So tune into that.
That's
Main
right.
card
So you
minute.
got to check that out as well. All right. We appreciate everyone tuning in today. Thank you so much. Again, morningkombat.shop for any of your needs. We have them for the releases this month. They're just another week and then they're gone. So please take a look at them there. We appreciate you tuning in. Thank you so much for watching today. morningkombat@gmail.com to reach the show. And for our friend Brian Campbell and his very tiny bladder, Long Island Luke, and everyone else on the rest of the show, I'm Luke Thomas. Thank you guys so much for watching. And until next time, may all of your gains be loyal.